Welcome to the Gym Heroes Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Peacock. Today's show is brought to you by GymDesk, the easiest gym management software you'll ever use. Take payments, create marketing automations, track attendance, and much more. To try the software out free, go to gymdesk.com. No credit card or painful sales call required. Our hero today is Donna McGeorge, world-renowned productivity expert and a proponent of ChatGPT as a productivity tool for fitness professionals. In this episode, Donna dives into the best ways to get the most out of ChatGPT to make your life as a gym operator way easier. She also delves into the possible downsides and what ChatGPT is not good for. At the end, she also plugs a sort of cheat sheet for all the best prompts to maximize your use of ChatGPT as a gym owner. That is linked in the description, so be sure to check for that. Without further ado, Donna McGeorge. All right, Donna, welcome to the Gym Heroes Podcast. If you could go ahead and introduce yourself to my audience, that would be awesome.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me, and hello to all your awesome listeners. Donna McGeorge. I'm known, I suppose the easiest way to say is a global authority on productivity. I write books about productivity, and I sometimes write for Harvard and Forbes and all the very famous ones. And I live in, you can tell from my accent, I live in Australia. I live in Queensland, which is a region known for its amazing beaches.
Awesome. So you've talked a lot about ChatGPT before. I discovered you on some other podcasts, and I was wondering, how has ChatGPT changed the way you work personally, and how much time has it saved you?
Gee, look, I first stumbled across ChatGPT a little over 12 months ago, and I decided to put some time aside to explore how it would work for me. And I think I know we're not into tips yet, but I just think that's one of the best things you can do is just set aside some time and play with it, I think is really useful. But for me, I immediately saw the opportunities for anything written. So whether it's a tricky email, whether it's newsletters, whether it's, for me, I write articles, blogs. I also write speeches, as in a keynote speech. So it helps me, with that. Anytime I'm stuck. So I'm a one-person show. I sit in my little office doing my own thing, and I don't have that person that I can just turn to next to me and say, hey, what do you reckon about blah, 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 blah? Or who do you think did this? Or what's this about? And so I know you could say I could go to Google for some of those things, and I can, but ChatGPT is my go-to work buddy for anything I'm a little bit stuck with.
Gotcha. What would you estimate the time it saves you every week? Do you have a number to that?
Oh, look, I reckon I'm probably about the same as what the data would suggest. I think it saves me thinking space and mental capacity, which is a little bit hard to quantify in time. But, it used to take me nearly a whole day to write an article or a newsletter. And I reckon now I'm churning it out in a matter of an hour, maybe an hour and a half. So you could say somewhere around the 30% mark for specific tasks.
Yeah. Well, that's
it's awesome, right? It's nearly a whole day a week.
Right. So he's basically saving an entire day a week, which makes you more productive. Right. Absolutely. So I talk to gym owners. So how can ChatGPT be applied to the operation of a fitness business, do you think?
Well, I'm assuming that fitness businesses have the same kinds of admin, email, communications, newsletters, social media, all the kinds of things that lots of other businesses do. And so I think straight up, like everyone, we have our expertise in our thing, right? So a gym owner is running a gym because they're into fitness and they know the equipment and probably the technical aspects of their work, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean they're the most eloquent writers when it comes to putting a series of social media posts together or doing some communications to their client base. So one of my favorite things to do with ChatGPT is to say to it something like, my ideal client is insert word. So whoever, your gym. So my ideal client is people who are seeking to improve their fitness or whatever it might be. Tell me their hopes, fears, dreams, and desires. And then write me 6 social media posts that address those hopes, fears, dreams, desires. And straight up, it's done the work that you might have a communications or marketing intern done. Now, I don't know many gym owners that can afford to have a marketing intern come and work with them, or a marketing assistant or something like that. So it does kind of that work for you. It could even be a tricky email, or a tricky communication. Maybe someone has complained or and you now need to respond to them in a way that you want to be assertive about your position but maintain the relationship. So you can say to ChatGPT, here's the situation. I want to respond in an assertive yet empathetic way so I maintain the relationship with this client. Give me 3 examples of emails. So there's that one. But I think the real kicker, and again, like many businesses, the business owner or the gym owner doesn't do recruitment very often, you'd like to think. And so about once, let's say 6 to 12 months, you've suddenly got to write job ads, prepare for interviews, maybe even if you're lucky to give a brief to an agency potentially, and then put an ad up on whatever your job board is, whatever that is. Like in Australia, we have Seek. I don't know what is in the States.
ZipRecruiter,
and that is
Indeed.
Right. That's tedious and time consuming. And because you don't do it very often, it's hard to delegate. And so you can get ChatGPT to give you all of that stuff in a matter of minutes. So they're probably the 3 key things I'd say: social media, any kind of email comms, particularly if it's tricky. And then, those kind of, I'll use recruitment as the example, but those kind of jobs that only come up once every 6 to 12 months that you don't even have a procedure for, right? Because they're just so rare.
Right. That's interesting. I know that. So gyms, if they have trainers, you mentioned they usually don't have staff. That's true, unless it's a big box gym. So if it's an owner operated gym, they don't have much staff, so they have to handle that all by themselves. But gyms often have trainers, and a lot of them are contractors, and contractors are notoriously bad about turnover, leaving and going somewhere else to the next thing. And I know especially martial arts gyms are that way too. The instructors are often if they're not paid under the table, they're paid contract, and they can often leave, and that's a lot of time lost and money spent.
It's a lot of time lost just in the recruitment, but imagine now, see, that's the other thing. So if you are a small operator, right now, with a very minimal effort, you could probably get ChatGPT to write you up standard operating procedures, right? So you'd start with, say, hi, I'm a small gym operator. I work in this kind of locale. This is the kind of clients I have. This amount of staff I have. This is the kind of, whether I'm martial arts or something else, is the kind style of my gym. Can you draft me some standard operating procedures? Because if you have staff turnover a lot, it's good to then have something you can at least start with that says, this is how we run our joint. And so as a starting point. Now, I know, we'll talk about some of the downsides later. The only warning on the label I'll give you with any of this is it gets it about 80% right. It still needs some human intervention, some personalization, as you'd expect.
Right. You mentioned about asking ChatGPT, tell me about my target audience. What's their biggest fear, right? And that's a big part of being able to write content that connects with the sort of people that you want to connect with. I've used ChatGPT a little bit, and out of the box, I would not trust it to tell me that accurately. So is there a way you can train ChatGPT on your audience before you ask it a question about them?
Well, I use it exactly that way. Let's just say I'm wanting to pitch, do a campaign Maybe I was going to do a campaign where I'm trying to attract gym owners to come and work with me. I don't, but let's just say I did. And so I'd say I'm a business coach and I want to attract a series of gym owners. I specifically want gyms that have X amount of turnover, this amount of staff, that they're one-person operations. I would just straight out say, it's in the prompt, describe and give as much context as you can, and then say, can you tell me what their hopes, fears, dreams, and desires might be?
Okay.
And it will answer that. And if you read it, if you know your market well enough, you'll read it and go, oh yeah, that's a bit off. So it's really interesting around this. So I don't know enough gym owners to be able to say whether I would think that's good content or not, but you would.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like I'm not a so one of the other things I think it's really useful for from a personal perspective is doing meal plans. I'm a type 2 diabetic. I've also got a celiac in the family, and I've got someone who doesn't like peas. Give me a meal plan for the next 7 days. Now, if I'm a celiac or I'm a type 2 diabetic, I know what good looks like. But if I'm not a celiac, then I wouldn't know whether they're giving me a decent menu or not. So I think this is where we can't abdicate all the responsibility to ChatGPT to get it 100% right. If you know your field, if you know your customers, if you know your business, then you'll probably recognize what good looks like. And then, which is what I do, I then go to Google and just, check whatever, because ChatGPT is like an eager intern. It's always trying to please. It's always trying to give you a good answer. And it is really, confident. Like it gives you stuff with great confidence. And so it's easy to believe. So if it gives you declarative statements, small gym owners tend to be vegetarians. I'm making it up, right? Yeah. Then it might be, whoa, I better go check on that because that doesn't gel, or maybe it does, or it's such a declarative statement, I'm going to dive into Google and fact check it.
Gotcha. And so really a lot of the utility there is not so much that it's going to gain a lot of knowledge you don't have, but that it helps to organize and it puts organization on stuff but we're having trouble communicating or structuring in the way you think, right? For like a marketing campaign, or understanding in clear terms what it is your audience is really afraid of, what they really need. Because I know as a marketer,
absolutely,
every so often I'm like, okay, I have all these things swirling around in my head for understanding my market, but I could sit and stare at a blank screen when I'm trying to put it in a succinct structure. Here's what they need. Here's what we offer. Here's what, I have to remind myself these things.
Well, the interesting thing is if you've got, there's so much I could say about that. So first of all, yes. So if you're not a nuclear physicist, then you wouldn't know what good nuclear physicist content looks like. But you're a gym owner and you know your market and you know your clients and you know your customers. So you kind of do know what good looks like. That's the first thing. So you're getting it just to prompt you or to help you when you're stuck, right? So I'd like you to think about it like it's a conversation. It's not like Google. It's not just where you put something in and now you've got to trawl through a million, sites and options. You can just say you can literally say to it, I'm a gym owner and I'm stuck with what my next social media campaign could be. Can you give me 10 ideas? Now, I always say you can ask it to give you an idea, but why not ask it for 10 or 20 or 50? So it's capable of doing that. And then you can choose, oh, gee, that sounds good. I might do that. If you are a gym owner that's done plenty of content and you've written some blogs or whatever, you can train it to write like you. You can say, here's 2 examples, or I'll do it the other way around. I would like you to analyze my writing style in a way that I can describe it back to you for future writing activities. Here are 2 examples of my writing. So then you copy and paste it in, hit enter, and it will say, oh, Josh, your writing style is, engaging and slightly irreverent, and you like to use anecdotal examples for your key points.
How did you know?
Awesome. Right, there you go. See, I can tell. And so then what you say is, please write me 6 articles about fitness, if I want, fitness in a specific, the more specific you can be, the better, and use a writing style that is the writing style, and then you copy and paste your writing style in. And so you're getting it close to being able to write like you. But again, I repeat, it'll get you 80% there. But look, I know gym owners, it's not their job. They're not marketers, right? They're gym owners. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you've now outsourcing your marketing brains, if you will, to ChatGPT.
Real quick before I put you back into the episode, GymDesk has powerful yet intuitive features to grow your business. And there's a few really great features I'd like to highlight. The first is a deep, best-in-class email and SMS marketing system with automation tools to make your life as a business person so much easier. It's like having a dedicated, full-featured email service provider native to your gym software. We're really proud of it, and it's something that we've recently overhauled. And in addition to all the stuff a good management software should do for you, like member management, attendance, booking, scheduling, and reporting, you can set up an easy, simple, attractive point of sale system to sell merchandise in person or through your website with just a few clicks. And if you like to provide members-only content, we have a content management system that lets you choose who can see what content and when, all visible from a member's web portal and the GymDesk user app. So give your gym the lift it deserves. Go to gymdesk.com or click the link in the description. That's great. That's great. So you do. So sometimes you can in fact train GPT to help you with other activities.
Yeah, and it depends on which version of ChatGPT you get. So there's the free version, which I use most of the time. And then there's the paid version, which I use occasionally. And the paid version allows you to set up, it's like a profile. And that stuff that I just said about your writing style, you can have that permanently in there so that anytime you ask it to write you anything, it will tap that writing style or instructions that you've put in there. So Excellent. It really depends. But look, can I just say to anyone listening right now who hasn't, or watching, who hasn't used ChatGPT, I'd go for the free version straight up, and I'd go for playing with it. Now, what I'll do, Josh, I'll send you, and you can put it in the show notes for this. Sure. It's just a sheet that I send that has a whole bunch of prompts that people can play with. Just to get you used to seeing how it responds. So I'll send that through to you. It's just a document I'll send through to you to put in the notes.
Absolutely. I'll stick that in the show notes. That's awesome.
Yeah. No worries. Okay,
tough question. Not really a tough question, but I know that a lot of people who watch TV too much get anxiety. So does ChatGPT replace the need for skilled trainers in your gym?
No. That's a very short answer for me. I'm not sure. Well, actually, let me have a think about this. So no, I don't think it does, because first of all, humans are humans, and one of the reasons we like to go to a gym is to interact with other humans. Otherwise, we'd just work out at home or we'd find other ways. So we do go to a gym for a reason. We want the expertise of the people there, and we trust another human to know our bodies, and we're very unique. Our bodies are all very unique, right? The only time what my brain just did is it imagined gym equipment of the future where it might be so sensitive that it could adjust and change, what the weights are or the resistance is, or and it could be telling you, chirping at you, do 10 more repetitions or something like that. It could. But I reckon we are so far from that. So that's that. Now I feel like I'm talking science fiction, talking about that. So I don't ever want to say never, because I'm sure there were, switchboard operators in the 1940s that thought their jobs were going to be safe for the next 100 years, and here we are. So.
Yeah, I figure it's either very far off, or there's some aspects of personal training that'll never be replaced.
No.
If we can't crack the code on general intelligence, it's going to be difficult for a ChatGPT or an AI to put together a customized program for you based on what you need. Because a lot of the stuff that trainers do, just like physical therapists, they watch how you move. They kind of watch everything together. They do a lot of tests. some of that can be done by machines, but we're in the infancy of that sort of thing. So
Look, do you know, until you're absolutely bang on. It's going to be such a long way off that not probably in our lifetime. But I am starting to see they're talking about AI being able to diagnose illness sometimes better than, well, not sometimes, with nearly 100% accuracy better than doctors. So, but here's the thing. I'm not sure that you want to necessarily think along the lines of AI could take my job. It's how can AI augment my job? So things like certain aspects of diagnosis could be done quicker and easier online using an AI before they even come into the gym, so that you can focus on the bits that are the most important and impactful and meaningful. So that's probably where I'd go is, any gym that's starting to embrace whatever technologies are out there from an AI perspective might have an edge earlier than if you didn't. So that's what I say. You're never going to lose your job to AI, but you might lose your job to someone who embraces AI.
Yes, somebody who knows how to use it better.
Right.
Great. So with that in mind, what does ChatGPT suck at? What is it not good at?
Right, it's terrible. Like, first of all, it's got a sucky name. I was just reading an article this morning about branding and names and stuff like that. And ChatGPT, it was from a marketing expert and branding expert, said it gave it a D- in terms of name, because for exactly what just happened then, Josh, it's hard to say ChatGPT. So I call mine Charlie. I just find it easier to refer to Charlie than to try and say ChatGPT a gazillion times. So the first thing it sucks at is its name. The second thing it sucks at, probably, to use your terminology, is accuracy. So you alluded to this earlier. Can I trust it? And the answer is no. So what I'll add is what you have for working for you is an eager intern that occasionally has a hangover. And so their work probably isn't quite as good all the time as you'd like. So there is no way I'd be putting, if ChatGPT gives you stats, data, what I call that definitive, declarative information, I'd be fact checking that every single time. Sometimes it gets stuck in its own weird loop. So, it's February. I'm starting to think about what I might send to my client base for Valentine's Day. And so I asked Charlie to write me some examples of professional sounding posts that speak to the fact of love without saying love. Well, it just went down. I've never seen so much gushy-mushy in my life, and I couldn't get it out of it. I kept saying, no, I need something less romantic. No, I need something less mushy. No, this is not about intimacy, right? It just kept going on and on. It decided that Valentine's Day was all about lovey, mushy, blah, blah, blah. So sometimes it gets into a weird funk with itself around how it's going to answer. And the best thing to do is just shut the whole thing down and start a brand new chat with it, with whatever you've learned about how you're going to prompt it. Okay. Which brings me to the third thing. It doesn't really suck at it, but sometimes the people using it does. So it's only as good as the quality of the prompts and the context that you give it, which is no different to a human. So if I send you down to the shops and say, get me some lunch, and that's all you've got, and you come back with a meat pie, it's a very common lunch in Australia, and I say, no, I'm a vegetarian. Well, you didn't tell me that before you left. So then it comes back with, I don't know, cheese all over something. And I say, well, no, I don't do cheese. I'm not quite a vegan, but I still don't like cheese. So if you only give it really minimal instructions, it'll give you pretty basic responses. So the better your prompts, and you learn that when you begin to work with it. So they'd probably be the three things I'd say.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really good nugget there. If it just won't give you what you want, start a new chat, shut the other one down.
Start again.
Yeah. So that it does mean it's going to make your life easier, but you still have to be precise. You still have to be clear about what it is you ask of ChatGPT. So if you want a good email, you have to know what a good email is like to send. So if you're not a good emailer, maybe ChatGPT might not help you that much. Yeah.
But look, it is a game changer for things like literacy and levels of education. There's an awesome story about a guy, a plumber, who had dyslexia and didn't cut it at school, basically left school when he was 14 or 15. He can fix any pipe in your house, but had dreams of wanting to do landscape gardening and pool installations, swimming pool installations. And so but he was always too afraid because he didn't know how to communicate that effectively to people. So ChatGPT can now convert, here's my one-line thing, dear Josh, we'll see yous Friday, send quote shortly, all misspelt, all out of, no grammar or whatever. And it can turn that into, dear Josh, thanks very much for the opportunity to quote for your pool. I'll send you the quote later this week. It's a pleasure to have met you. And now that's a game changer for someone who is a poor speller, just has literacy issues, which often holds people back. So on the one hand, you might be a poor email writer, but it might be able to make you sound awesome if you can give it enough, then it can, and give it enough instruction, then it can make something awesome for you.
Great. I love that story. So with that in mind, what are some plugins and integrations that you would suggest for extending ChatGPT's usefulness?
So there's three specifically that I use, which I'm not sure that they're particularly, or they might be for gym owners. So I've got the Spotify plugin, so I can ask Charlie to generate what they think is awesome playlists for various contexts, and it can create, and then it creates it for me in Spotify. But again, you have to have the paid version to use the plugins, just to be clear. Okay. So I use it for that. The second thing is Open Table, which does restaurant bookings. I find this one a bit of a game changer. So I can say, I'm going to be in Sydney on Friday, the whatever of February. Can you please find me 5 restaurants in the CBD that are 4-star and above with a table for 2 available between 6 and 7:30 p.m. And it will use Open Table to find that and then give you a list of 5 restaurants that are free, which I think that I don't know about you, whether you eat out much or not, but that saves so much time trying to find somewhere to eat. But probably the biggest one for me is called Ask Your PDF. And Ask Your PDF is a plugin that you can put any PDF in there, and it can draw content from it, it can summarize, it can read, it can give you data. So, for example, I've written a couple of books, and I've got PDFs of my books saved into there, and it will, now I can say, Forbes has asked me to write an article on this topic. Can you please write it, drawing on the style and content from this PDF? So now I'm not plagiarizing, I'm not drawing anyone else's content from the web. It is only writing articles based on my content. Now, I find that personally as a writer very useful. I'm not sure how many gym owners have written books, but there you go, there's a tip if you want to. But it can be anything from, maybe there's big documents that you need to review or summarize or whatever. But they're probably my top 3 so far that I have found to use.
Wow, excellent. Yeah, marketers, or rather gym owners who are trying to do marketing still have to produce assets to market. And so that can make it way easier for them to put together social media posts and, nutrition facts and meal plans and things that are useful that they can use to entice people to be interested in their gym.
Imagine if you had all your meal plans or any information you've ever produced ever in your gym in one massive PDF document, and that's sitting there and you can just ping that anytime you like. Go and write me a post now about nutrition that includes a couple of recipes that I've talked about in this PDF, right? And it'll go do that. So again, you're drawing on your content.
Excellent. Okay, I got a wild question for you.
Okay, I'll hang on to my hat.
This one is off script. Okay, so is it possible, with how strange the world is sometimes, that we are in an AI hallucination right now?
Oh, gee, see, you've gone down the Matrix path. I sometimes wonder about that myself. The only thing I know it's a wild question, so I'm going to give you a wild, spooky, woo-woo answer. The only thing I'd say is we could be in some kind of wacky kind of AI simulation right now, but it is of your own making. So that's the way the software runs, that you get to make it whatever you want it to be. So there you go.
Okay.
Bit of bloody philosophy for you there.
What you're telling me is I am, in fact, the cause of all my problems.
That's it. You are the master of your domain right there.
I'm the one. I found the guy holding me back.
There you go. That's the one.
Great. So where can listeners find you if they want to reach out and find more out about productivity?
Right. So the best place is my website, donnamcgeorge.com. I'm a shameless self-promoter, so you'll also find me on all the social media places. Probably your crowd probably hangs out more on, I would think, Instagram. So D McGeorge on Instagram. And I'm also spend a bit of time on LinkedIn, Donna McGeorge on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me.